here we go. Standard 8, which is going to cover the political and philosophical developments in Europe during the 19th century. Standard 8A, you all are going to be able to assess the impact of Napoleon and the Congress of Vienna, including changes in political boundaries in Europe after 1815. The essential understandings. So the French Revolution left a powerful legacy for world history: secular society, nationalism, and democratic ideas. Napoleon's attempt to unify Europe under French domination was unsuccessful. Sorry if that's a spoiler alert, but we are getting ready to learn about that. And the Congress of Vienna attempted to restore Europe as it had been before the French Revolution and Napoleonic conquests. So Napoleon is going to seize power. Napoleon rose to fame when he was able to protect the delegates of the National Convention from an attack by royalists. Napoleon's fame led him to become a general and to an amazing French defeat of the Austrians in 1796. Quickly, Napoleon had become the top military commander in France, and he was urged by friends to take political power. In November of 1799, Napoleon surrounded the national legislature with troops under his command, and he is going to seize control of France in what is called a coup d'etat, and that is French for sudden seizure of power. You may have heard maybe a coup, and that's just short for a coup d'etat. Napoleon made himself first consul and quickly signed peace treaties with Britain, Austria, and Russia, bringing peace to Europe in 1802. Napoleon creates an empire. So Napoleon was not content just to rule France. He had plans of strengthening French authority in the Americas and also of conquering Europe. So he wants to dominate the world. Napoleon wants all of the world to be under his command. The Napoleonic Code. It is a comprehensive law system which was developed by Napoleon, hence the name Napoleonic Code. It limited liberty and it promoted order and authority over the individual rights. So, for example, freedom of speech and of the press, established during the French Revolution, they were restricted under the Napoleonic Code. It also restored slavery in the French colonies in the Caribbean. All right, the loss of the American territories. Napoleon attempted to gain back control of the American territories lost to the British in the French and Indian War, but gave up in 1801 after his troops were devastated by disease and the costs became very high. In 1803, Napoleon's going to sell Louisiana to the United States for $15 million and no longer worried about taking control in the Americas. So the American domination dream for Napoleon is going to be done at this point. He is no longer interested in taking it over. And look, guys, he sold Louisiana for $15 million, which is not a whole heck of a lot of money. So I think the United States won that deal. All right, conquering Europe. So after giving up on the Americas, Napoleon turned his sights on conquering Europe. He annexed the Austrian Netherlands, parts of Italy, and Switzerland. And the leaders of many countries were forced to sign peace treaties with France. So let's take a look at a map. So as you can see here, the dark purple areas are the French Empire. It's also labeled French Empire. And the lighter purple areas are the areas that are going to be controlled by Napoleon. All these red bursts, almost like little starbursts, are the French victory. And anything that you can see around here that almost looks like a white burst You can kind of see them throughout here. Those are French defeats. All right, the French Empire. Napoleon was only able to control his large empire for 5 years. By 1812, the empire was about to quickly fall to pieces and collapse almost as quickly as it had been made. Napoleon has some costly mistakes, and the first one is called the Continental System. Napoleon put a blockade on any trade or communication with Britain. He wanted to make the mainland of Europe self-sufficient. The British Navy, being stronger, was able to block all European trade, and that is going to cause economic problems for Napoleon. So Napoleon thought he was being smart by cutting off Great Britain, but in the end it backfires, and the British are stronger than Napoleon, and they ultimately cause more problems for Napoleon. So here we go. Here's a map of this, and you can see here the areas barred from importing British goods are all here in purple and peach, and this red line indicates that blockade that was put up, and the United Kingdom, where Great Britain lies, was no longer allowed to do business with the mainland of Europe, and that's what backfires. The second costly mistake is called the Peninsula War. In an attempt to get Portugal to accept his continental system, he decided to attack by going through Spain. The rise of nationalism, which means pride in one's country, led to the people of the Iberian Peninsula rising up against Napoleon. He is going to lose this war, and the first cracks in his power began to show. So here is, up here, France. This is the southwestern part of France where it meets Spain. And all of these battles were fought trying to get Portugal to accept this continental blockade that he put up. But Portugal wins, and France is not able to get Portugal to go along with this blockade that he puts up against Great Britain. The third, and what I feel is the most costly of his mistakes, is the invasion of Russia. Napoleon attempted to invade Russia, but with disastrous consequences. The Russians are going to use the scorched earth policy. And what this means is that the Russians are going to burn anything and everything in the path, and they're going to retreat further and further into Russia, burning everything, so that when the French come after the Russians, there is absolutely nothing there for them. No houses, no trees, nothing to take shelter in. And of course, the Russians are going to do this during their coldest weather, which is the winter. And Russians are going to pull the French further and further into their territory. Unfortunately for the French, they are unable to handle the cold Russian winter, and many of the troops, the French troops, will die. Here are some pictures of the Russians burning down anything and everything in their path. And then here's a picture showing the French troops dying because there's absolutely nowhere for them to take shelter in the cold Russian winters. And they are not exactly equipped with the best outfits to wear in a Russian winter. They were not clothed properly either. The results. So after the defeat in Russia, Napoleon's army was never the same. He quickly lost territory in Europe, and Napoleon is going to be conquered at a battle in Waterloo. British and Prussian forces teamed together against France. Napoleon's troops will become exhausted, and they're going to give up. Napoleon is captured. He is put in exile on an island where he will not come off that island. He will live there for the remainder of his life. He is going to die 6 years after being put on that island. He's going to die of a stomach ailment. And today, if Napoleon was alive today, they probably thought he would have died of stomach cancer. So, unfortunately for Napoleon, his fate was death on an island of a stomach ailment. All right, the legacy of Napoleon. The unsuccessful attempt to unify Europe under French domination. That did not happen for Napoleon the way he wanted it to happen. He had this great plan for France to dominate Europe, to dominate the Americas, to dominate the world, and it doesn't work. He is going to have a successful law system, the Napoleonic Code, and we are going to see pieces of that remain throughout France's history. And this is going to awaken feelings of national pride. People standing up for their country. Their country's better than anybody else's country. The love of your country. And this is going to spread like wildfire throughout European countries. So people in their countries are going to stick up for and fight for their country. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this set of notes, and we will continue here in just a moment. Thank you for stopping by. See you guys later.